Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're trying to get our heads around a concept that is, well, it's notoriously difficult to translate. Dharma. It's this invisible architecture of existence. I mean, if you've ever tried to explain it to someone, you know it gets abstract really, really fast.
It does. But you could think of it as the fundamental operating system of the cosmos. For thousands of years, Vedic wisdom has called Dharma the very thing that, and I'm quoting here, maintains the order of the cosmos.
Right.
So our goal today isn't to give you some dry textbook definition. It's to cut through all that complexity and really distill what it means. We want to answer two core questions for you.
Good.
What is this cosmic algorithm that governs everything? And, more importantly, how does that translate into your true calling, my Dharma?
That sets the mission perfectly. So let's start with just the sheer scale of this thing. We're talking about a principle that, according to some sources, stretches back over 21,000 years.
I mean, that's a lineage that truly defines foundation, doesn't it?
It really does.
And the word itself tells you exactly what it does. Dharma comes from the Sanskrit root shri, which means to hold or to maintain. It's the principle of maintenance. And, one academic analysis we looked at really highlighted how complicated this term is to translate. As it moved across cultures, becoming Dhamma in Pali or Fa in Chinese, it literally forced translators to create new language because the idea itself, this fundamental self-maintaining force, it just resists a simple one-word definition.
So let's try to define that fundamental force. If we pull way back to that highest cosmic level, what is this natural order?
At its broadest, Dharma is the eternal and inherent nature of reality. It underlies everything, all existence, right behavior, social order. It's often described as just the natural order underlying existence.
Okay.
But what's really fascinating is its dual function. It's both why things are the way they are, it's the law, and it's also the path you have to follow to understand them.
It's the design and the blueprint. So, okay, if Dharma is the operating system for the entire universe, how do I download that software? How does that huge cosmic principle actually translate into my daily life, my purpose?
And that's the key shift, right? From the universal Dharma to my Dharma. On an individual level, it's your life purpose. It's your true calling. It covers all your duties to your family, to society, to humanity, even the environment. The ancient texts say this personal duty is guided by a pearl of inner wisdom.
A pearl of inner wisdom. I like
It's that innate sense of right and wrong we all have. It's what makes us ethical citizens and guides us towards selfless service.
And the analysis we read points out this inner duty is considered our highest value.
Let's steer.
But here's the thing. If it's our highest value, why do the sources say it so often takes second place to, personal gain? Is Dharma just at odds with modern ambition?
That's the critical conflict. And it doesn't matter if you're looking at an individual's choices or the corporate world's actions. There's this noted tendency to push aside that true calling for immediate benefit, for greed. And when that happens, Dharma erodes.
Which brings us to karma. We have to talk about the relationship between Dharma and our actions. If my Dharma, my purpose, is predetermined in Vedic culture, where's my agency? Am I just locked into my destiny?
No, not at all. You absolutely have agency. This is where karma basically acts as a system override.
Override.
Your deeds, your karmas, can literally overwrite that predestined life. It's like a programming change. There's a contemporary example given in the source.
Okay.
If you're born to poverty, predetermination might suggest you'll continue those generational patterns. But to be rich, and that means materially or spiritually, you have to act now in a way that is, and I quote, scientific, natural, and entrepreneurial in a dharmic way.
So Dharma sets the table, but karma decides what we eat. We have to choose to act in alignment with that order, not just follow inertia.
Precisely. And the payoff is profound. Living that rich, dharmic way leads directly to self-realization, to enlightenment. It brings a sense of joy and fulfillment that no amount of pure personal gain ever could.
Okay, so if I get my personal Dharma right, what happens to the world around me? The sources seem to suggest this isn't just a personal compass, it's a universal collective conscience.
It's the spiritual measure of a society's health. Think about it. When the collective conscience, which is just the sum total of all our individual dharmic actions, is pure and moral, then Dharma is healthy.
And society is in harmony.
Exactly. And this is where the stakes get really high. Because when that collective conscience gets polluted by, impure, corrupt, and deceptive thoughts and acts, the sources warn that Dharma is in bad health.
And that leads directly to societal chaos, anarchy, grief, despair.
Yeah.
To make that collective duty a bit more concrete, there's a great example in one of the commentaries. The Dharma of a student. What are the specific duties for that role?
The student's primary Dharma is twofold. First, to learn, but just as importantly, to help their peers learn.
Okay.
And it involves a really high standard of conduct, respecting teachers, parents, the elderly, no matter what their economic situation is. It's all about cultivating and dissipating a positive energy, keeping your heart and mind pure.
But following that path is incredibly difficult when the world seems to reward the exact opposite. The sources list some pretty significant challenges, both internal and external, that push us away from Dharma.
That's the reality check, isn't it? Internally, we're all fighting unhealthy competition, jealousy, greed, lust, ungratefulness.
Right.
But those individual flaws, they're constantly being fed by systemic challenges. Think about the influence of the corporate world, the media, imperfect judicial systems, discrimination. All of these things make it so much harder for one person to stay on that path.
That sounds overwhelming.
Yeah.
If the systems themselves are non-dharmic, how can one person, or even a small group, actually make a difference?
Well, the vision for change laid out in the source is all about building critical mass. The idea is for individuals, especially students moving into their professional lives, to consciously bypass that is not dharmic.
Even if it costs them?
Even if that choice carries a heavy personal or professional cost, yes. The hope is that through that kind of integrity and sacrifice, the dharmic population will eventually supersede the non-dharmic one and restore societal health.
Okay, we've spent a lot of time on what Dharma is, but we have to address this crucial warning from the sources about the erroneous use of the word Dharma. What's the fundamental confusion here?
The core issue is confusing the universal law with specific local practices. Dharma is eternal. It should be the same for everyone, everywhere. But as different societies developed, they naturally created their own unique rituals and practices, sort of like containers for following that universal path.
So people started mistaking their specific container for the universal content inside it.
Precisely. They started calling these local rituals the Dharma of that group. And that effectively modified the universal law for tribal or narrower objectives.
And that's dangerous.
It's immensely dangerous. When maintaining the group takes precedence over universal truth, often through restrictions, coercion, misinformation, the source calls it the beginning of the end of eternal peace and harmony of coexistence.
We need a simpler way to ground this. The source provides a really brilliant analogy to cut through this confusion. The water analogy.
It's perfect for clarity. Just think about water, H2O. It doesn't matter if you get it from a stream, a river, a well, or a decorative vessel. It's all just water, H2O. Its chemical structure doesn't change based on its container.
And Dharma is the same.
Dharma is Dharma. It's a universal law. You shouldn't hyphenate it or add other words to it to describe a specific group's practices.
Which is why, in a modern conversation, just using the word religion is often less confusing. It clarifies that you're talking about the specific societal practices, not the intrinsic universal law.
Exactly. It separates the container from the content.
To bring in a beautifully simple view, let's look at the perspective of a spiritual practitioner, Shiv Shankar Sharma. How does he put it?
He offers this powerful, clear statement. He says a saint's concept is always pure because they're connected directly with truth. He said, Dharma means humanity and the duty that the Almighty expects from a human being.
So for him, it's just obvious.
Truth is truth. It doesn't require research. That's his take.
And he also provides a verse that illustrates that singular focus on truth.
He does. The verse is, Ekai Siddhai Sabsada Sada Sabsache. It basically means that if you manage to cultivate that one true connection with the Almighty, you achieve everything.
But if you try to manage everything else...
all the rituals, all the localized practices, you ultimately lose it all. It really reinforces that need for a simple connection to the core truth.
You know, shifting to our modern vocabulary, it's interesting that words we use every day, like integrity, loyalty, empathy, are actually the outcomes of a dharmic life.
They're the downstream results, yeah. Integrity, honesty, gratitude, compassion, success. Dharma is the foundational source for all of them. Without living in alignment with Dharma, none of those virtues are really sustainable long-term.
And I imagine integrity is basically just Western business speak for personal Dharma.
Yeah.
The source even connects this ancient idea to Oprah Winfrey.
Yes, it does. It cites her saying, real integrity is doing the right thing, knowing that nobody's going to know whether you did it or not. The source suggests that, in practice, this is a perfect articulation of Dharma in action.
So integrity is an offspring of Dharma.
Right. It's that internal compass guiding your duty, whether anyone is watching or not.
For listeners who want some actionable steps, a how-to guide, we can turn to the ancient framework from the Vedic scholar Manu. Instead of just listing all the Sanskrit, let's group his 10 rules thematically. Let's start with inner control.
Absolutely. The first few rules are all about internal mastery. You have to cultivate patience and forgiveness, but that has to be coupled with strict self-control and non-stealing.
And non-stealing isn't just about physical theft.
Not at all. It's about not taking what isn't rightfully yours. That could be credit or someone's time, anything.
What are the outward-facing virtues?
The next phase is about personal and external purity, cleanliness, which is both physical and mental, and the really difficult practice of control over lust. Then you get to cultivating the mind, benevolent intellect, and the pursuit of spiritual knowledge.
And finally, the 2 bedrock principles that govern how we interact with the world.
They are benevolent truthfulness or honesty and an absolute commitment to non-anger. This ancient list of 10 gives you a complete template for self-mastery and for how to engage correctly with society.
That's a profound framework.
Yeah.
But let's make it totally contemporary for what the source calls the smartphone generation. What are the critical, actionable themes for practicing Dharma right now?
Well, if we boil down the 9 modern practices that the source offers, they really come down to 3 key pillars. The first is radical responsibility. That means taking full ownership of your deeds and acts and building the courage to admit when you're wrong.
And the second pillar?
Radical honesty and humility. Never compromise on honesty, period. But at the same time, you have to be humble, abandon pride, show gratitude, and learn to accept gratitude graciously. That's crucial because pride is often the first thing that pushes you off the dharmic path.
And the last one, our relationship with others, which ties this all back to that collective conscience.
That's radical respect and empathy. It means putting others before yourself, giving them the benefit of the doubt, and respecting all individuals no matter their shape, size, or situation. You have to actively show empathy. This whole list is designed to keep you internally aligned while promoting external harmony.
That brings us full circle. We started with Dharma as this cosmic law maintaining the entire universe. And we end with a clear set of actions that maintain our own integrity and the health of the collective. Dharma really is what holds humanity together.
It's the thread that defines the structure of existence and our duty within it. And if we connect this back to what we discussed earlier, that danger of universal Dharma being modified for tribal objectives, it raises an important question for you, the listener, to really think about. Since we know those modifications lead to chaos, how might actively practicing those 10 fundamental rules of Manu in your own life serve to strengthen the health of the universal collective conscience and protect it against those narrower, restrictive objectives?